Mrs. B, might as well. I'm walking through a ghost town, y'all ain't playing my sounds. Don't tell me to calm down, don't tell me to calm down. Only time I go backwards is when I wanna moonwalk. Don't test me, my mood's wrong, don't test me, my mood's wrong. We are who we say that we are. You were lost in the stars, and it's all from the start. Never running no pace, never on the right page. But we still read that book, and we still run that race. Ay. Mississippi Racer riding out, no shortcuts, no time for that. Mississippi Racer riding out till the wheels fall off, I'm driving that. Mississippi Racer riding out, we'll stop burning, strike the match. Mississippi Racer riding out, red light, green light, red light, good night. Ay. Red light, green light, red light, good night. 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 Time to chill, don't sweat it.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to the morning show. I'm Wire to Wire Gene, and to my right, I got my man, Mr. Mo Betta. How you feeling this morning, Mo?
Doing great. An amazing Wednesday. Lots of sports to get into.
Well, we got what we asked for. The New York Yankees last night won a game 11-4 over the Los Angeles Dodgers in New York. Tonight, you're going to get Gerrit Cole for a game 5. And Gerrit Cole is going to be heavily favored at home to win that game. And if that happens, we can get to a game 6. We can get to a game 6 and be able to get, I don't know, I guess a little fear, a little bit extra part of the series. Because, look, I'll put it to you this way, right? The Yankees win tonight, and then they find a way to win game 6. Anything can happen in a game 7. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, right? We got a long way to get there. But they're favored to win the night in New York. If you are picking a winner tonight in New York, Gerrit Cole, you're picking Gerrit Cole at home in New York. It's just that's what you're doing. If that happens, we get to a game 6. Now, game 6, I have a feeling the Dodgers will be heavily favored. You'll be at home. You'll have Yamamoto again versus probably Rodon. But I feel like that at the end of the day, you're gonna see something out of the Dodgers in game 6. I had Dodgers in 6 to begin with, so it might work out exactly what I said. But that's the funny thing about the Yankees is it's not the talk of the town, Mo. It's not the talk of the town. Last night, and we'll get into the game in a minute. And by the way, my guy will be here shortly. But last night, the talk of the town was the fan interference that happened. And I got to be honest with you, I cannot understand. I've never seen anything like it. And I have mixed emotions about it. And we're going to show it for you on air. We're going to share this our screen. We're going to show it for you. I have mixed emotions about it. Very mixed emotions about it. And here's my mixed emotions. On one hand, what an idiot, right? First inning of a playoff game, you're going to get thrown out of the game. You rip Mookie Betts' glove. I mean, when you see it, Mo, it is so egregious. It is probably the most egregious fan interference I've ever seen. Mookie Betts, it was so bad that I think Mookie Betts had a right to swing on the fan.
That's pretty
Swing
bad.
on the fan. Like, that's how bad it was. So, without further ado, let me share my screen here. We're going to do a first here on here we go. This should work. All right, we're going to start it over from the beginning. Can you see that, Mo?
Yeah, got you.
All right, we're going to start it over from the beginning. We're going to full screen this. And here we go.
Afraid to throw. Right by Torres. Betts in the corner. Does he have room? Fights with the fan. And they're going to say that it's an out and fan interference. So an out. One gone in this first. It's the second time that Gleyber Torres has hit a ball that has ended up in fan interference in this series. He had the home run turn into a double back at Dodger Stadium. And yeah, Betts has that ball in his glove, and this fan literally tries to take his glove off. Pries the ball out of there. A for effort.
Well, he won't be watching the game much longer.
No, he won't. No, he won't.
No chance. From a TV, we're going to be watching.
Yeah, the TV.
That was crazy. That was crazy. That he was holding his arm like he wouldn't give back his arm. That was crazy. The other guy, that's crazy.
My favorite is the other guy that like plays like offensive line, like blocking Mookie Betts' other hand from getting
right. He's grabbing his other hand. I'm like, yo,
that has to be, in my opinion, the craziest fan interference I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen anything like that.
Same. I have obviously both of those guys finished watching the game at some local bar.
I seen it and I could not stop laughing, like in my eyes, because like I have mixed emotions, right, Mo? Like if my team was in the World Series, and granted, like it was so egregious that you knew you weren't going to get but if my team was in the World Series and that happened in Philadelphia, I don't know, man. They might be happy for the guy. Like that guy might be a season ticket holder, right? Like, yeah, we're going to throw you out of this game there. Yeah, but we'll see you next year. You're going to have some sweet passes. Like, I feel like that's terrible for the game of baseball. But like, if that happened to my team, I don't know how mad I would be.
I actually believe that in Philly, if a fan did that, that guy might be able to be like, you don't have to worry about drinks. You don't have to pay for another. You don't have to pay for another drink for a year. Like Philly fans are wild like that. They appreciate that kind of fandom. I think it's a little over the top, but like you said, if it's your team in the World Series, in that moment you get caught. And mind you, your team is down 3-0 and you get caught up in that. I'm not saying it's right, but I don't think every fan base would call that a negative. I think they'd be like, hell yeah, these guys went for it. I mean, because they look like a tag team, right? They look like tag team wrestlers. And you can look at Mookie Betts' face. Clearly, a big part of him wanted to go back there and swing on him because he was heated.
I was dying. I was literally in tears because, like, the umpires got it right away. They called him out. They're fan interference. The only part that's a little annoying is the fact that Mookie Betts got his arm pulled. Oh, by the way, I would like to think of that. Like, all right, so we thought about that if it happened in Philly and you're a Phillies fan. Could you imagine if that happened in, like, Atlanta against the Phillies and then you had to go play in Philadelphia the next night? Like, I feel like we'd be even worse. Like, we're a walking double standard, Mo. We are a walking double standard. When something happens somewhere else, all we do in Philadelphia goes, see, other people do it too. Like, that's all we do. Like, we want to point it out. Like, why isn't there more national media attention to this? We still talk about snowballs and Santa Claus. But if it happened in Philadelphia, that guy'd be a hero. He'd be a hero.
100%.
Talk about the game for a second. And we're gonna get my man Will in here to talk about the game. I'm gonna get the Will button. We got the Will button coming up. We will have NBA talk with Will. It will be happening. But Will, what's up, bud? How you feeling?
How y'all doing today?
We just talked about the fan interference last night in the game. We shared the video. I'm not sure if you've seen it. But how wild is that video, real quick, before we get into the game itself?
That's crazy. I hope that guy got banned.
See, we're just talking about that. But, like, can I ask you a question real quick? Your
Sure.
team in baseball is who? Who's your team in baseball, Will? Are you a Mets fan, right?
Mets fan. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what if that was a Mets fan? Would you feel the same way?
I would still feel the same way because they interrupted the flow of the game.
Okay.
Really?
I respect that.
I appreciate that. I think that in certain fan bases, that maybe the initial reaction you'd be upset. I think, but in the long run, that guy's a hero, or those two guys are heroes, and that story becomes legendary.
I agree 100%. If that happened in Philadelphia, they throw him a ticker tape parade. But as far as the game goes, last night, listen, I'll tell you right now, two things I learned last night. Number one, if the Yankees stop pitching to Freddie Freeman, are you out of your damn mind at this point? Another home run last night. The guy is on another level. Stop pitching to him. Stop pitching to him.
You can't tell me those teeth are real, though.
Oh my God. That's
crazy.
You can't tell me his teeth are real. Those are for veneers, man.
He paid for those.
But
he pays good money for it.
yeah. But on the other hand, if you're a Yankees fan, you got exactly what you asked for in the series.
You did.
One RBI between Soto, Judge, and Jazz Chisholm and Giancarlo Stanton, and you score 11 runs. They got a grand slam by Anthony Volpe in the 7-hole. They got a solo home run by Austin Wells in the 8-hole. They got Alex Verdugo, 2 RBIs, and they got Gleyber Torres, who had 3 RBIs with a 3-run homer himself. If you're getting that production from 7, 8, 9, and 1, I promise you 2, 3, 4, and 5 will get going.
The bats woke up when they needed to be.
It
Correct.
did. Their bats were live.
Yeah, they're live
Agreed.
last night. That was you needed.
Well, to be fair, and I want to preface this. I'm not, guys. I said Garrett Cole going tonight. It's a great thing for the Yankees. They can win Game 5, go to Game 6, and you have another scenario. But let's not forget that the Dodgers threw a bullpen game last night. They didn't throw a starter out there.
That's true.
The Yankees took advantage of basically having to use every bullpen member of the Dodgers. The Dodgers pitched 4 different bullpen arms last night, and every one of them gave up a run. So they had no clean innings.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a few clean innings in the middle with Knack, but he still gave a run. But,
That's a good point. That's a good point. But again, you can't really, how can I put this? You really can't. Yeah, it's a bullpen game, but you really can't complain because that's the competition that's in front of you. You have to take advantage of that. And that's exactly what the Yankees did.
No, you're absolutely right. My whole point of it behind that is saying that it is a bullpen game, but I wouldn't be that hype if I was a Yankees fan. I would start getting real hype about the series after tonight's game when you do your job and your ace goes out there. And by the way, if you're Aaron Boone, I swear to God, Yankees fans all around the world echoing what I say. I'm not a Yankees fan. If you pull Garrett Cole at 84 pitches again when he's dealing in the 6th inning, I'm telling you right now, New York's going to have your head.
I don't understand why he did that. I don't get that.
I didn't like it at all. He was dealing in Game 1. They were winning Game 1. I had no understanding of taking a guy out that was getting stronger. His last 2 pitches were 98 and 99. He wasn't losing velocity. Unless he goes, I can't go anymore, coach, which I guarantee you Garrett Cole didn't. Like, what are you saving him for? It's the World Series. Let him pitch. Like, stop.
Let him cook.
Let Garrett cook tonight.
Let him cook. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I think if they win tonight, though, even though the Dodgers are up, I do think pressure shifts to the Dodgers. You start feeling that, right? Like you lose tonight, and you go, okay, we still we're still a game up, but that's pressure to get it done. So I think it is big. If I'm the Dodgers, I'm on a mission to end it tonight, even with Garrett Cole on the mound.
Yeah, get it done. Get it done tonight. You don't want to risk the biscuit. Get it done tonight.
And you don't want those big bats on the Yankees to come alive either.
Nope.
You want to hear something crazy? I want to share this, right? I'm a fan of the tickets as low as button. So, like, when you think in New York Yankees baseball and you think of Los Angeles Dodgers baseball, I want you to take a guess on how much the cheapest ticket to get in the Yankee Stadium is tonight. Tickets as low as right now. What are the tickets as low as?
The cheapest ticket?
Yeah, World Series ticket.
I don't know, $400 or $500.
You're absolutely right there, Mo. $485.
Yeah,
and that's an expensive ticket, right?
That is
right. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question real quick. For Game 5 at LA, tickets as low as
in LA, Game 5. I have no idea. Maybe a G.
Bro, and that blows me out of my mind, Mo. And the reason I say that is, why is it double the price to go to LA when LA fans aren't as big as fans as New York fans are?
Right,
that shit
exactly.
All the time, right?
And that's an absolute fact. They're not as big as fans. You're right.
It's $1,257 is the cheapest ticket in the house.
I was close.
To watch World Series. You were. Mo, you've been spot on both of those. I think that's wild. But you got Garrett Cole versus Jack Flaherty tonight. Jack Flaherty is the ace of the Dodgers staff. He's not an ace of any other staff. I mean to say that where he's not a typical ace, right? The Dodgers have two aces in their staff. They got Flaherty and Yamamoto, who I think are both good 2-3s. I think the Dodgers severely miss an ace on their staff, but it's really not. That's going to be Shohei Ohtani next year. That's who it's going to be.
Yep.
So next year you're going to walk in with Shohei, Yamamoto, and Flaherty as your 1-2-3, and that's going to make a lot more sense. But it hasn't really affected them this year because they're up 3-1 in the World Series. Who do you guys got tonight? Jack Flaherty at Garrett Cole.
I'm gonna go with Garrett Cole. I favor him to win. I want the Dodgers. I you know what? I want a great series, and yet at the same time, you get a little nervous because of the Yankees start getting too much confidence.
Correct.
I feel like we could be witnessing history again, the same way that the Red Sox came back on the Yankees. The pressure just mounted, and the Yankees got tight, and the Red Sox just got more and more confidence. The same thing could happen. So, look, conventional wisdom says a pitcher like Garrett Cole, I'm going to favor them to win. So if you're asking me who I think's going to win, I think the Yankees are going to win tonight.
I think the Yankees are going to take it, and they're going to really go ahead and make that choke job from the Dodgers a real probable thing. Like you said it best. All the pressure, if they get that win tonight, all the pressure goes on the Dodgers. So that's why I am anticipating that, because that's their history, and the Yankees are the perfect team to have that happen. Plus, it'd be one hell of a story to see them come back and win this World Series. That'd be one hell of a story.
I don't think they come back and win the World Series. I do think they win Game 5. I think they'll lose Game 6. I do like the matchup of Yamamoto pitching at home for the Dodgers against Carlos Rodon. I'm the Yankees. I try to send somebody else out. That's not my guy. But they kind of used a lot of the bullets in their chamber. The extra day off gets them an opportunity. They could run a deep bullpen game where they could throw Rondon out to pitch like the first 9 hitters, like one time through the lineup, and then maybe you get Cortez in there in the middle of the game instead of putting him in the 10th inning when he hasn't pitched in a month. That has to be one of the biggest bonehead moves of this series. Nestor Cortez, good pitcher for the Yankees, pitches in inning 10 for the first time in a month. He hadn't pitched since September 18th. He pitched in inning 10 in Game 1. And that was the guy Freddie Freeman hit the walk-off grand slam off of. I don't like that move. And then they walked Mookie Betts to get to Freddie Freeman. Like, granted, I understand pitching to Mookie Betts isn't any easier than pitching to Freddie Freeman. But, like, you leave no room for error. When you have here's something people don't understand about baseball. They look at the first and third scenario and they're like, all right, we can walk them because you only need one out. Lefty is what you want. Here's what you're not getting. Guy hasn't pitched in a month. You can't walk him because if you walk him, the game's tied, right?
Right.
So there's nowhere to put him. You have no room to kind of move outside the strike zone, and you could see that in that at-bat. He 100% Cortez went into that bat like, well, I can't walk him. I'm going to have to challenge him. Whereas if you pitch to Mookie Betts, you might be able to see if you can get him fishing. I would never call me nuts. I would never intentionally walk people in big moments, ever. I'd pitch around. I'd be, and what's that do? That gets him an extra 4, 5, 6 pitches to kind of feel the zone and where he's at. You brought him in the game to pitch to Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie, and he ain't pitching a month.
Yeah, that's a bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's bad.
All right, y'all. We'll have a little bit more World Series talk probably tomorrow, based off what happens. Regardless, we got an off day tomorrow if the Yankees win, and Game 5 will be Friday. So, hopefully, we're talking about that. But we have a lot of things to get into tonight. I kind of want to ask you guys a question, and I think we all seen this coming yesterday, and we were talking about it, a couple days ago. The Indianapolis Colts have made a move at the quarterback position. Anthony Richardson, after a 10 for 32 performance on Sunday, has been benched for Joe Flacco. Now, the question I have for both of you guys, I just kind of want to fully understand where you guys are at. You drafted a guy number 4 overall last year. He's played 10 total games. When you drafted him, You said you knew he was a project. 10 games in, you are benching him. He played last year and then a few games, obviously this year. He got hurt last year. Is this like the white flag from Indy? Or is this like we're going to try to develop him more and then they're going to start next season with him? Like, where do you destroy his confidence by putting him on the bench and benching him already? Like 10 games into essentially, you haven't played a full season after being drafted with the number 4 pick. Someone's head's got to fly, right? Chris Ballard's got to be out of a job, right? Am I wrong when I say something's got to happen if you bench a guy you drafted number 4 overall after 10 games? Zach Wilson got more than 10 games.
Yeah.
Your thoughts, Will?
I think you have to do something because when he did this, when he tapped out, I think that's why he got benched more than from what his play was. You're a leader of that team, and you have to realize that. And you knew he was a project going in. And I said it yesterday. The best athlete is not always the best quarterback.
Yep.
So you know you had to work with him a little bit. And again, I think it wasn't so much for his play. I think he was able to live with his play. But when he did this right here, it showed he gave up on his team. And by showing that he gave up on his team, that's why I think Joe Flacco was in there. I think they can live with the inaccuracy issues. I still don't like Anthony Richardson with a Josh Downs, with a Pierce, because downfield, a fly route, that might be fine. But what if you're doing intermediary stuff, or what if you're doing a crossing pattern or something like that? The ball's not gonna be there when it needs to be, and it's not gonna be accurate at all. So, like I said, I just think it's the move of the tapping out and leaving his team. Doesn't matter to me if it's just one play. You gave up. And you can't show that as a leader of the football team, which is why I think he got benched.
Mo?
I think that when you invest what you invested in him, you picked him number 4. You targeted him to be your guy. And look, we were talking about how inaccurate it is. He coming in, it was not a secret. He's kind of like a project. There are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be wow moments. I don't see the Colts as like a Super Bowl contender. And even with the I'm tired moment, I think if you bench him, you could shatter his confidence. And then you're going to try to turn around and coach him up again fresh. Like, a lot of guys don't recover from that kind of stuff. Even though I know Flacco is a better choice for now, I also know Flacco's not part of your future. I wouldn't have benched him, even though I'm not a big fan of his. As a talent, I just wouldn't have benched him because you invested that much in him. And when teams pick quarterbacks in the top 5 and they get it wrong, that impacts your team for years when you get it wrong.
100%.
It does. And so
you got to hit on that number 1.
I can't risk shattering his confidence. I just would have went another way with that.
So I think, here's the thing, right? And I think Linda brings up a great point here. He says, they will keep him. General managers hate admitting they're wrong. He's not a starting quarterback. I think the fact that the Colts can admit that they're wrong in this scenario and say, all right, he's not a starter. We made a mistake and we're going to get ahead of this. And we'll hope he develops behind Joe Flacco. We'll hope he develops with Shane Steichen. And we'll see where we're at next year. Maybe next year we'll have a quarterback competition for QB1, and we'll see what Anthony Richardson does in year 3. And then you don't have to pick up his 5th-year option. So you actually do for first-round quarterback, Jesus, 5 years. But then you see what you can do to move him. I'm sure a team would give back a 3rd-round capital to get an investment in Anthony Richardson.
I like that point you brought up yesterday, though. For him to be a gadget guy, I do like that proposition for him. I
can
do
100% beat Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
I actually think he's a better version of Taysom Hill.
Yeah,
because what Taysom Hill type player do you think can throw the ball 80 yards in the air?
Right.
Like having him on the field, you always have to have a deep safety just in case they decide to drop back and fire. But Anthony Richardson obviously can run with the football. But I kind of want to finish that. I think that the Colts are doing what the Colts need to do because Shane Steichen is a good head football coach. And last year they almost made the playoffs. I think they came up a game short of the playoffs last year with Gardner Minshew. This year, they have Joe Flacco, who took a Browns team to the playoffs. They're 4-4. They're right in the midst of that division.
Yep.
Have you ever seen a quarterback pull himself from a game because he was tired?
I've never seen that before.
On a critical third down, too. It was a critical third down.
I've never seen that before.
He pulled himself from a game. He did the tap
out
on the helmet.
And I think that's the reason why he got benched, because you have to send a message to that team at some point. You have to.
Do you think that might have been like, and it's funny because when Adam Schefter reported it, he goes, he said it almost like the Colts had no choice. Like there was no choice. They had to bench him. And in reality, I think you were losing the locker room as far as your wide receivers.
Sure.
You got guys like Michael Pittman that are there that aren't seeing the ball at all. You only had one guy with more than one catch in that game versus Houston. They were right in that game, even with poor play from Anthony Richardson. Yep. I've never seen a quarterback that can throw a 60-yard play so accuracy that cannot throw a 10-yard out. It just has no idea concept how to throw a slant. But if you let him load up and fire, he is accurate as they can get on the deep ball.
And it's not like they don't. Pittman, Josh Downs, Pierce, they have receiving talent there.
Yeah, they do. All right, well, let's move on to another topic. Not a great week if you're Jameson Williams. Now, he's back in the news again. Warrant was issued for his arrest for a concealed weapon that was in a traffic stop that happened on October 8th, which is 22 days ago. I get it. He was a passenger in the traffic stop. He had a concealed weapon. In the NFL, this is not just. Listen, we'll let the court case play out the way it's supposed to play out. I'm not going to cast judgment on this guy, but he is now 2.5 years into the NFL, and he's got a gambling 6-game suspension. He's got a 2-game suspension for performance-enhancing drugs. Granted, it was Adderall, and now he's got an arrest on his record for a concealed weapon, and he also has a massive speeding charge that happened for him in Detroit also. So like Jameson Williams, who I think is a super promising receiver. I'm a huge fan of him. Remember, former Ohio State kid, transferred to Alabama, played in the SEC title game versus Georgia, played unbelievable in the national championship. He tore his ACL. He was drafted number 14 overall for the Detroit Lions. They sat him his entire rookie year so he can rehab his ACL. His second year got cut real short because he had a 6-game suspension for gambling. This year starts so promising. And granted, it was Adderall, and it's not like he's taking PEDs, like real like steroids, but you get on the substance abuse list, you have a concealed weapon, you have a speeding ticket. What does this mean for Jameson Williams, Mo? Like, what advice would you give the young man?
I think I would give the young man, like, you need to focus on football and think only football. Like, the NFL has this mentorship program. He needs somebody like a big brother, a vet needs to get in his ear, talk to him, and tell him, like, dude, you're living your dream. You're playing professional football, and at the same time, you're blowing it. You don't want to blow this. This is a rare opportunity and privilege. I just think some of the leaders in that locker room need to get a hold of him and talk to him about how he's behaving outside of football.
100%. Will, what's your thoughts?
2 things with me. I don't know his personal situation. If his dad is still alive, his dad needs to have a conversation with him. And I say that about a lot of these young guys because life is about choices. What you do on and off the field makes a difference. You are setting an example, and you have to set that example for your team and for your team. And you also have to remember that nothing is bigger than the shield. The NFL is not going to tolerate so much before a real heavy ban. You've already been suspended. A real heavy ban can come down. And the second thing for me, real quick, you did mention that he's having a promising year, a promising big start to this year. But he needs to also realize, and most of the kind of mentioned it, being in the NFL is a privilege, not a right. And you need to hold it in your hands as something that you really care about. because at any moment it could be taken from you. It can be taken from you in any moment because of what you do off the field as well as on. He needs to remember that.
I do have a really funny thing to, and this will be quick, but did you guys know that drinking water and cayenne pepper is considered the fountain of youth?
Really?
Water and cayenne pepper.
Yeah,
and the
cayenne
reason
pepper.
I say that is because they talked about Aaron Rodgers this week, playing through all his injuries. He's taking care of himself. He's got all these injuries: his hamstring, his knee, his ankle. Thomas Morstead, his teammate, told him that water and cayenne pepper will help out with that. And Rodgers touts cayenne pepper water as part of regimen to give him the fountain of youth. Timo gave me a little fountain of youth. He said he's been taking it for a while, all legal, of course. Maybe that's why he's been feeling a little bit better. What do you take of cayenne pepper and water? That's what Aaron Rodgers takes, gentlemen. Let's go home and find that fountain of youth.
I've never heard of such a thing.
How is he in the news?
I'm going to pass on that.
I'm going to pass on that for real.
How is he in the news all the time for this stupid ass comments?
I
get him off TV.
I feel like at some point, though, when his NFL career is over, Aaron Rodgers is going to be on a podcast or something, and whatever you think of him, he's going to have a huge following.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's a crazy person, though, bro. He's definitely a tinfoil hatter.
Oh, I agree.
He is. That's what he is. He's crazy.
Yeah, he is.
And then last two NFL topics we're going to get into. The Ravens have agreed to trade for Panthers wide receiver Deontay Johnson. The only reason I bring this up, they only gave a 5th round pick. It's not really the end of the world. But the only reason I bring this up is, are we really thinking that wide receivers are the reason like the Ravens lost the game versus the Browns? Their offense has been moving the ball super efficiently. The pass catchers that they have on that team, I granted, I know Nelson Aguilar is kind of a bust, but former first rounder. Rashad Bateman, former first rounder. Zay Flowers, former first rounder. You have Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews. Yeah, you know what we need? We need another wide receiver. I don't get that one bit. I don't think that the Ravens wide receiver room is poor. And I think that it's actually hilarious. And I missed, they have Derrick Henry, they got Justice, they got a lot of weapons in the offensive side of the ball. I don't think that's where their issues are.
I think it might have been an overreaction to that one play that hit Bateman in the chest and he missed it on Sunday. I think that could be one reason why you see that. Because they're looking for somebody to be a little bit more consistent. But the thing about it, Deontay's not the most consistent himself.
No.
And that's the thing that kills me with this move. You could have done something else with this that would have made more impact. And with the way Mark Andrews is kind of resurging, Isaiah Likely is still going to be in the mix. Zay Flowers is going to remain your primary guy regardless. So I don't get it either. I don't understand why a fifth round pick doesn't break the world, as you said, but I just don't get it.
You could have done something to shore up your defense. That's where you struggled.
Yeah.
Your defense was one of the most dominant defenses all of football last year, and it has not been that. It's been leaking left and right. The offense is not your problem. Your problem is you can't get stops, and your secondary that used to be a strength is no longer that this season.
You're absolutely correct. And then Texans wide receiver Stephon Diggs now out for the season with a torn ACL. Nico Collins is out for another week.
That hurts, man.
It does.
That hurts.
What realize you got the Texans?
I realize you got Tank Dell. He'll probably go from the third to the second receiver on that squad, but still, that hurts.
I don't think it hurts as much as you think it does. I think with Nico Collins coming back next week, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, the two tight ends that they have in the room, I think they're going to be fine. I thought Stephon Diggs was a luxury pick to begin with. And if you look at Buffalo after losing Stephon Diggs, they didn't get much worse offensively.
This is true.
And I want to take it a step further. I feel like that CJ Stroud, if we're being honest, he still looks really good, but he hasn't looked as good as he looked last year. Can we say that? Can we all?
Yeah.
That's 100%
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I think that maybe this is unfair, but this has followed Stephon Diggs throughout his career. In Minnesota, he wanted out because he didn't get the ball enough. In Buffalo, he got numerous spats with Josh Allen because he wanted the ball more.
Mm-hmm.
And after he left Buffalo, they replaced him with Amari Cooper recently, but when you could spread the ball around, just throw the ball to the open guy and not just look for that alpha, that X receiver, it sometimes makes your quarterback more efficient.
I do like Keon Coleman for the Bills. I do like Keon Coleman.
Yeah, he's a good player. I like
He's a
him.
good player.
They got Keon Coleman. They got Khalil Shakir. They got former first rounder Dalton Kincaid on that roster. They got Amari Cooper. Like, they're fine.
James Cook can catch it out the backfield from time to time.
James cooking in the kitchen. Ray Davis, little backup running back action. I got to stop spouting out depth charts. But my point being is, I think
too much, Gene. You know too much.
NFL, I do. NFL, NBA, I hell for the comparison of you two. But Stephon Diggs being out for the season, this sounds terrible. I hate saying this. I'm sorry about the injury. I don't think it affects the trajectory of the Houston Texans at all.
It just takes you back to what you had last year, and it may provide better chemistry because Stroud knows both Dell and what Nico Collins can do. I think he was still kind of filling out Stephon a little bit. The only reason why I like Stephon Diggs so much, I'm a huge fan of his. I started being a big fan of him in Minnesota, and that is followed him. And yet, despite all his issues and stuff like that, he's still a hell of a talent. But you may be right. Addition by subtraction might be the case here.
I want to ask one more NFL question. We're going to move to NBA. I just want to ask this question. I think it's very interesting. Now, last place is very easy, but I always look at point differential to kind of see what we're looking at. Who do you think has the worst point differential? Who do you think has the best point differential in the NFL?
The
worst point differential, biggest blowouts. And
the worst might be the Panthers.
The Panthers are the worst. That's the low-hanging fruit. They are minus 147 in 8 games. That is so absurd. Now, the plus differential, there's a couple teams that are close. There's one team at plus 84, one team at plus 100. The Chiefs are at plus 50, which is 7-0. It's kind of wild. There's a team leading their division that's at minus 27. That's kind of wild also.
27.
But minus 27, and they're leading their division. But I won't tell you who that is yet. But who do you think is the best point differential in the NFL? Any guesses?
I don't know. I'll throw out the Bills.
The Bills are second. That's a great answer. Will, you want to give me a guess?
49ers?
The 49ers are not. It's the Detroit Lions at plus 100.
That's shocking.
Not really. They're
but then again,
they are dominating people.
That offense is clicking. You scored 51 last week, so yeah.
Last night, another incredible performance for Nikola Jokic. Now, granted, the Denver Nuggets have not looked like an NBA championship contender at all. 2-2 with 2 overtime wins versus 2 not great opponents. But Nikola Jokic, 29 points, 18 rebounds, 16 assists with only 16 field goal attempts. It's absolutely that is a masterclass. The Denver Nuggets do not look like the Denver Nuggets. Has the Denver Nuggets, I just really want to, I think it has, right? So the reason I'm asking this question is I think it has. Has the title window passed the Denver Nuggets?
Yeah, I think so. At least the current iteration of the Nuggets, because their general manager, Calvin Booth, he was given instructions by their owner. Whatever you do with the roster, you don't go anywhere near that second apron.
Yeah.
It's cost them. Right after they won the title, first thing they did was lose their 2 key bench players, Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, gone. The next season, they didn't add any more depth. And then this season, in the offseason, you lose KCP. They let him go.
That hurt.
And if you look at them right now, they have no bench depth. And then their starting lineup, they don't have a lot of shooting. They don't have and they keep waiting for Michael Porter Jr. to take a step forward. And I keep telling people he's a catch and shoot guy. He's always been a catch and shoot guy. He will be a catch and shoot guy in year 10. I'm not telling you he's not a good basketball player. I'm telling you he doesn't have another level. That the people think there's another level he can go to. He's at his level. He has topped out on what he can give you. And so I'm looking at Denver and I'm like, they're going to have to make a tough choice at some point. It might be sooner than later because you just signed Jamal Murray to an extension. They're going to have to choose between Aaron Gordon or Porter Jr. They're gonna, and I would go with Aaron Gordon because I think Porter Jr. is replaced. Even though this is a league built on shooting, Porter Jr. is more replaceable. But if they're going to have to make a change right now, and I think that's the move. You're going to have to make a package, put together a package that includes Porter Jr. and go out and get another guy that can not only create for himself but score and do things for others. Because right now they're just a playoff team, and they're a playoff team literally just because you have Joker. Joker makes you a playoff team, but the guys around him, the lack of depth. And look, the addition of Russell Westbrook isn't terrible, but Mike Malone is supposed to be a really good coach. You cannot play Russell Westbrook and Aaron Gordon at the same time. You can't have two non-shooters on the floor at the same time. It's one or the other, and they both have to be put in the dunker's position. Now, to his credit, he did that last night. He timed them out, and Russell Westbrook actually had a very impactful game last night. And help them win. Do I think what Russ did last night is sustainable? No, because he's not a natural scorer anymore. I think Denver has to make a big move if they want to at least try to stay viable as a title contender.
But Mo, let me ask you this: what move can they make to make that happen? Who's out there that can keep them or maybe help them ascend to that championship level? Who's out there that can do that for them?
The Warriors didn't extend Kuminga for a reason. They don't think he's that guy. That's somebody you can look at. The guy in Portland who was
a bench last night. We're missing 2 starters.
Right. And he played well.
He did.
But look at the guy in Portland. Anthony Simons can get you buckets, can create off the dribble, can score. Portland did not extend him. Even though we know he's a bucket getter, they know he's not a franchise player. Anthony Simons is out there. If you watched the late game last night, Brandon Ingram, they didn't extend him for a reason. So there are guys out there that will be perfect as second or third options to Nikola Jokic. And I just named 3 of them right there because that's what you're looking for. I think any of those 3 could replace and be an upgrade from Michael Porter Jr.
You talked about that late game last night. I'm gonna tell you something right now. The one thing in the other late game last night that stood out to me is, granted, the Sacramento Kings won, but watching the Sacramento Kings play basketball, it has become more and more evident DeMar DeRozan is just a round peg in a square hole for that overall team. I think DeMar DeRozan, granted, he just signed there, but DeMar DeRozan is a perfect fit around someone like Jokic, a guy that can hit that mid-range, that can play perfect in that pick and roll. I wish DeMar DeRozan would be replacing Michael Porter Jr., and I think that would work like a glove. You got a more efficient shooter. I don't think it's possible to have a top 5 NBA IQ player in Nikola Jokic and a bottom 5 NBA IQ player in Michael Porter Jr. That guy's never seen a shot he didn't like. Right? He's so terrible when you put the ball in his hand. Now, if he's not catch and shoot, hit the open jumper, if that's not what he's doing, he is awful with the basketball. If you see Michael Porter Jr. put the ball on the court, it's just
it's cringy.
Why is it here? Like it's
cringy.
And he doesn't know how to pass the ball. He's a very poor passer, like beyond poor. And it's because he's never worked on it ever in his life. He's never had to.
I like DeMar with the Nuggets. I like that a lot. He gives you that free throw line extended, very consistent, and he's not a great defender, but he at least tries to put some type of effort out there defensively. He ain't the greatest defender in the whole wide world. He ain't gonna stop nobody, but at least he gives some type of effort.
He would have been a better fit with the Nuggets because I also think that having DeMar there with Fox, with Sabonis, it stunts the growth of Keegan Murray. It
Yeah.
stunts the growth of Keegan Murray. It relegates Keegan Murray to being a fourth option. And I think, to me, that Sacramento kind of sending a message to Keegan Murray. They don't think he's going to be a 20 points per game guy. So look, Keegan Murray might be a guy to move. I think it would be a mistake if they did that, but Sacramento's a franchise that's made tons of mistakes. So
some guys
Go
get
ahead.
moved too. Some guys get moved too early, i.e., Laurie Markenden, who the Bulls never gave a chance to develop. And you might be the same thing with Keegan Murray. Might happen to him. He might get moved too early before he gets a chance to be fully developed and really contribute for your team.
No, I agree.
Completely agree with you. Paul George and Joel Embiid will be sitting out again tonight.
Man.
At home versus the Detroit Pistons. And if you want to know how motivated 76ers fans are to go see a game, you guys want to go to an NBA game tonight? Tickets are as low as $9. Now, I'm not trying to be that guy, but every time the Eagles play, whether it's home or on the road, they're top 3 in ticket draw, whether it be tickets as low as is top 3, whether it's home or away. The Eagles draw a crowd no matter where they go. Philadelphia fans will spend money to go watch their teams play. The 76ers have worn this fan base down so much that they're of the likes of the Charlotte Hornets, where tickets as low as $5 tonight.
Wow.
And the Memphis Grizzlies, where tickets are as low as $2 tonight.
Dang, man.
And you want to talk about, I'm not trying to be that guy, but Chicago, tickets are as low as $22. Cleveland, tickets are as low as $91. You want to talk about a franchise that started off on the right foot? They're playing the Lakers tonight. It's $100 to get in the house, just to get in the house. 76ers do not have that draw. The fans are growing tired and weary of Embiid, of the organization, and they just extended him. What a nightmare extension that is. They just extend Joel Embiid. He goes out. I'm never going to play back-to-backs again. He's probably not going to play 40 games this year. That is absurd to me. Paul George, a guy that's always had issues staying on the court, I don't think he plays 50 games this year. And you got a guy like Maxey who's going to go out there every night and give you everything he has and beat the shit out of himself. And it's one of those things there. We would sign up for a Maxey rebuild. And you would see Philadelphia 76ers fans showing up to the stadium for a Maxey rebuild.
I'm there for it. Honestly,
Me too.
I'm there for it. I think, to me, if you do what some people think is unthinkable, I'd trade Joel. First time he's healthy, I would trade Joel Embiid because I know you would get a haul. You would get your future. You would get your future, the guy that you would eventually pair Maxey with. It's unthinkable, but look what you like Gene said.
It ain't unthinkable to me.
The inevitable is going to happen. Even if he only plays 40 games, somehow, some way, he's going to be hurt in the postseason, and he's going to be laboring and then we're going to be talking about what he could have done if he was healthy. Somehow, some way, Paul George will probably be hurt. And let's not forget, you get old. There's only one guy that keeps playing well as they get older. He's one of one. Paul George is 35 years old, and you signed him to that huge extension. And like I said, it's money well spent if you win a title. But if the way the dominoes are falling right now, you extended 2 guys that are not going to play 50 games like Gene said. I don't understand what Daryl Morey's doing. But you know what? Daryl Morey, more times than not, as a GM, he's made some boneheaded moves. He has. He's made some boneheaded moves. And maybe he doesn't have it in him to realize that I would move off Embiid. I've said this before. He's a guy that you know is not going to age well.
That's a lot of money.
Joel Embiid at age 31, 32, that's not going to be pretty.
That's a lot of money you got tied into 2 guys that's not going to play the whole season. That's a ton of money you got.
Paul George is not even good.
George,
I guarantee you, Paul George does not play out the bulk
I
of that
agree.
contract.
I've never been a Paul George guy.
He doesn't play it out.
I've never been a Paul George guy, and for him to sign this type of deal at his age is just crazy to me. It's just crazy.
It's funny because I looked at the injury report and it's Paul George out with the knee, Joel Embiid out with the knee, Ausar Thompson out for conditioning. I've never seen that for a second-year player, but
Conditioning?
I swear that's the injury reports. I'm looking at the injury report. He's
That's
out
an
with-
actual status?
I literally was that's why the reason I brought it up.
Oh my gosh.
He's not in shape.
He's not in shape, so we're gonna sit him out.
And
That's
how
right,
old
Key.
is-
It's
and how old is
frustrating.
he?
It's very frustrating. It's
20?
very frustrating. Very
I wonder.
frustrating.
I wonder what if you did a Q&A with Sixers fans, how would they feel about the potential of moving Joel Embiid?
I can tell you. I can tell you.
I'll move
I
him.
listen to Sports Talk Radio all the time. They would be on board and okay with it.
I'll move him. Because as you
And-
said, Mo, that's your future. That's your future. You can go get
But you
players
got to
to
move
pair
Paul
with
George
Maxey
with them.
and start that Maxi rebuild. Oh, can you imagine the hype around Philly?
You
Can you
have
imagine the
to.
hype?
You have to move Paul George with him because
Yeah,
Paul George
yeah.
signed here to play with him.
Yeah.
And I think you can move Paul George. I think you can move Paul
both of
George.
them.
Yeah,
How do you play in the Olympics? And like we're all lying to ourselves saying he has a knee injury. He does not have a knee injury. He's not in condition. He's not ready to play basketball. They're ramping him up. He does not have a knee injury. He has a debilitating knee, which probably isn't ready to play basketball, but it's not like he injured himself. He just played in the Olympics. He was fine.
Right.
It was terrible, but he was fine.
Yeah, he was terrible.
Like, don't lie to yourself. He was awful in that Olympics.
Yeah, he was.
He's not in shape. They say he's 30 pounds down from where he was, and I don't believe it. I'll
Let me
believe
ask
it
you
when I
guys a
see
question.
him. What?
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think Daryl Moore is a bad GM, or he's just making bad moves?
No, I think he's a go. It's just my opinion. I think he's a go for it GM, and he knows stars win in the league, and I think he's doing everything he can to try to go for it. But like he doesn't know how to rebuild, and
Right.
he's not the guy you want in there for a rebuild. Just
Right.
not who he is. That's just my opinion.
No, that is spot on, Gene.
Yeah.
I think the best way to describe to me Daryl Morey is he's like a degenerative gambler. He will mortgage the future and bring in a bigger name and keep trying to do band-aids rather than do it. He's never done a rebuild. Look what he did with Houston. How many stars did they go through with James Harden trying to win a championship, and it just never happened? And Morey just kept signing up for more and more, signing up so much. What did he do? He brought Harden to Philly. I don't think he's a bad GM, but I don't think, like Gene made it's a great point. He doesn't know how to build a franchise up from scratch. He doesn't.
Oh, it's frustrating. It is extremely frustrating. Speaking of frustrating, we got Will on here, and I'm going to ask you this. The most frustrating player in the league's got to be Lonzo Ball.
Oh, hell yeah.
Lonzo Ball, who sat out for 2 years, maybe
Again.
2.5 years, came back this year. And Will, I'd like you to tell the fans at home if Lonzo Ball is still back.
I don't think he's back. I don't think he's back 100%
Sprained his
yet.
wrist, and he'll be out for 10 days.
Yeah. I don't think he's 100% yet. I really don't.
100%? He doesn't want to play basketball.
No, I don't think he does. It was good to see him out there, don't get me wrong. But at the same point, I don't think mentally he's where he needs to be right now to play basketball. And he'll use any little excuse not to be out there. He knows he's on a middle of the road, a bad team. And I just don't think he wants to be there. I just don't think he does. I'm glad he came back that one game and showed you what he could do, but that's also the most frustrating between him and Zach LaVine. They show you what they can do, but then all of a sudden, I'm out for 10 days. I'm out for 12 days. I'm out for half the year. Come on, man.
To be fair, I mean, he did have his whole knee rebuilt. Like, it's like a new knee. Like he had his knee rebuilt, and it's strange because you don't realize you wake up and Lonzo's 27. Like, where'd that time go? He's 27 years old. I don't know if he wants to be in Chicago, honestly.
Would you?
I don't think he wants to be in Chicago.
Would you want to be there?
Let me ask you a question, Mo. going forward from this day forward, from October 30th, who plays more games in their career from this day forward? Lonzo Ball or Ben Simmons?
Oh, God.
I'm not. Ooh,
Ben
that's,
Simmons
tough.
again was ruled out last night
That's
with a
tough.
back injury.
that's
He's
tough.
back. By the way, just to be clear, I don't think it's any odd thing that he was out with a back injury a day after he passed up another wide open dunk.
Can I ask a question real quick?
You see that?
Question.
Am I the only one that's seen that?
Can I ask a
Watch
question
it.
amongst your question?
Sure.
Is it just me, or does it seem like Ben is he's getting paid for nothing? He's getting paid for nothing.
3 years.
3 years or nothing. He hadn't given you any productivity at all, and he's still on the. I blame the net. Exactly. Charmin soft. I blame and a lot of this stuff. I blame the team because the Nets should have moved on from Ben a while ago.
Right, but that's harder to do because it's not like Ben is in demand right now.
No, there's no demand.
Right,
and one of them is the Warriors.
Yeah, I get it, but look, I mean, look what the guy's been doing. Will, he's basically been a fan with great seats, right?
Exactly.
That's all he's been.
No productivity at all.
No, nothing. Every time he gets healthy, we go through this every offseason. Ben Simmons is working out on his shot and he looks healthy. And then
he does that every year.
Every year we see this, right? It's like a holiday now.
Ben Simmons open gym workouts.
Right.
And you'll see like a highlight, like real footage of him making jumpers. You didn't see that he took 76 of them and missed 38 of them. But like you'll see, look at it. Ben Simmons makes this jumper. Wide open gym jumpers do not impress me. Bro, I genuinely, and I mean this when I say this, I genuinely think his mental is so fragile that after he passed up another dunk and it became news in the NBA, he's like, oh, my back's hurt. I can't play tonight. I need to take a couple games to I think he's so mentally fragile and mentally soft that's where you're right. Game 7 at the Hawks broke him. I agree.
I agree. That's it right there. He has
Yep.
never recovered from passing up that dunk against the Hawks and ultimately them losing that series. He's never recovered from that mentally. Ben Simmons can be 150% healthy body-wise. His mental is fragile and fried. His confidence is gone. And it's weird because the Ben Simmons I remember his first 3-4 years in Philly when he was an all-star, even though he was a limited player, he was a talented player. Like not a scorer, but you could book Ben Simmons for 16, 8, and 8, dominant defensively, and he was so arrogant, so confident, so over the top. And it seemed like that one moment zapped all his confidence, all his arrogance. And every time, even though I root for him in the sense that I'd like to see him make a comeback and play good basketball and be relevant. My gut feeling is mentally, it's just not going to happen for him. I think mentally he's done.
Could Steve Kerr fix him?
No,
I don't think so either. I don't think so either.
I think sending him to the Warriors sounds good, but you put him in a locker room with Draymond and he's doing that weird stuff. Draymond will break him mentally even more.
Oh, and not only you can't have play him and Draymond on the court at the same time.
Right. They have the same skill set.
All right. So guys, we got to wrap up. We're at our time again. It's always fun talking to you guys. I will tell you this. If you got a second, Google Nets broadcaster absolutely destroys Ben Simmons. It's worth the watch.
I'll check that out for sure.
Check that out. Mo, close us out. We are at our time.
Thank you guys so much for joining us on a Wednesday. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all Northeast Sports Streaming Services. Appreciate y'all on Roku. Thank you so much for Will hopping on again. My Gauntlet Geek, and I'm Wire to Wire Gene. Check us out tonight, Wire to Wire Sports Podcast, 7 p.m. Take care, y'all.